On the night of November 28th, 2019, Thanksgiving Day, in Minneapolis, Minnesota, Raven Gant returned to the home of her ex-boyfriend to collect clothes for herself and her child. Unfortunately, tensions quickly escalated between them, leading to an argument. Both Raven and her ex-boyfriend called 911 at the same time to report the conflict they were experiencing. Recognizing the situation as a domestic violence incident, the dispatcher sent police officers to the scene. When the officers arrived, they knocked on the door once. After receiving no response, they left and returned to the station without conducting any further checks. Not long after the officers had departed, a gunshot was heard coming from the house. When police were called back, they discovered Raven in critical condition, having suffered a gunshot wound. She was rushed to the hospital in an effort to save her life, but tragically, she did not survive. An investigation was launched immediately. Her ex-boyfriend became the primary suspect in her murder, and attention was also drawn to the police's initial response, which failed to treat the domestic violence call with the seriousness it demanded. Raven Gant was a 27-year-old mother whose life was violently ended by someone she once trusted and loved. This is the tragic story of Raven Gant. Raven Gant was born in the year 1992 to Lakeisha Gant and Ronald Gant III. Raven worked as an accounts manager at the Union Depot Hotel and was known for her intelligence, determination, and stylish presence. Raven was a driven woman who always had clear goals in life. She entered a relationship with Randall Watkins, and the couple settled in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Together, they had a daughter named JJ, who was the center of Raven's world. Though their relationship began happily, it eventually became abusive. Randall began physically assaulting Raven, leaving her with noticeable injuries like black eyes. At one point, Raven's father tried to intervene, but Randall shot him in the back as he was leaving. Despite the abuse, Raven kept much of what she was experiencing to herself. Eventually, Raven decided to leave the abusive relationship, taking JJ with her. On Thanksgiving Day, November 28, 2019, Raven, then 27, returned to Randall's house to retrieve clothes for herself and JJ. Tensions quickly escalated. At 9:37 p.m., both Raven and Randall called 911 from inside the home. Raven, frightened and anxious, told the dispatcher she only wanted to collect her clothes and leave. Randall, on the other hand, was agitated and yelling. Officers were dispatched to the scene. When Minneapolis police officers arrived, they knocked once on the screen door. After receiving no answer, they left within 2 minutes. They didn't look through windows, knock again, or announce their presence. Dispatchers also failed to follow up with Raven and continued communication only with Randall. At 10:08 p.m., a fifth 911 call came in from the house. Randall's behavior grew increasingly aggressive. Their daughter JJ could be heard crying. 6 minutes into the call, a gunshot rang out and the line went silent. Shortly after, Randall called 911 again, demanding police remove Raven from his home. The dispatcher said officers would return, but they stopped to use the restroom and investigate a stolen vehicle first. When officers eventually arrived, they found Raven lying on her back between the kitchen and dining room. She had been shot in the back and was in critical condition. Their 2-year-old daughter was present and had witnessed the shooting. Officers administered CPR until medics arrived and rushed Raven to North Memorial Medical Center, but she died that night. JJ was terrified of the police and traumatized by the ambulance. After Raven's death, her mother, Lakeisha, questioned the police response. She was disturbed by how officers had left the scene after a domestic violence call. She and her husband requested the body camera footage, but the city of Minneapolis withheld it for 3 years. Lakeisha fought relentlessly to obtain the footage. When it was finally released, it revealed the officers' negligence. The video showed them knocking once and leaving without making a proper effort to investigate. Raven's call had multiple red flags that should have prompted a high-priority response. Lakeisha, with attorney Oliver Nelson, filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the Minneapolis Police Department. Domestic violence expert Mark Wynn criticized the police response, saying they should have done more, checking the back door, speaking with neighbors, or listening for disturbances. He emphasized the need for better training and policy reform. Detectives learned that Raven had gone to the house to get her belongings when Watkins shot her in front of their daughter. They also discovered that Randall Watkins had a prior murder conviction from 1995 in Illinois, where he shot a friend over a minor argument. Randall Watkins, who was 41 years, was arrested and charged with Raven's murder. During the trial, he claimed he acted in self-defense, but the judge rejected his argument. After a 2-week trial, a Hennepin County jury found him guilty of intentional and unintentional second-degree murder, as well as illegal possession of a firearm. He was sentenced to 40 years in prison, the maximum allowed by law. Though the conviction brought some justice, Raven's family continues to mourn her loss. They are grateful for the outcome, but know nothing can bring her back. The heartbreaking story of Raven Gant offers several powerful and sobering lessons on domestic violence, systemic failure, and the urgent need for accountability and awareness. Here are some of the key takeaways. 1. Domestic violence often escalates over time. Raven's story shows how relationships that begin happily can devolve into cycles of abuse. Lesson: early signs of physical, emotional, or psychological abuse should never be ignored or excused. Intervention and support should be sought immediately. 2. Abuse can happen to anyone. Raven was intelligent, hardworking, and strong, traits that defy stereotypes about abuse victims. Lesson: domestic violence doesn't discriminate by age, education, or personality. Society must move beyond victim blaming and support survivors without judgment. 3. The importance of law enforcement responsiveness. Police failed to respond adequately to a clear domestic violence emergency, missing critical signs and leaving without ensuring safety. Lesson: domestic violence calls should be treated with urgency and thoroughness. Law enforcement agencies need proper training, protocols, and accountability to prevent fatal outcomes. 4. The system can fail. Victims, despite multiple 911 calls and clear signs of danger, the system did not protect Raven. Lesson: this underlines the need for systemic reform, not only in policing, but also in how communities, courts, and institutions handle domestic violence cases. 5. Children are silent witnesses to abuse. Raven's 2-year-old daughter witnessed the abuse and her mother's murder, leaving her traumatized. Lesson: domestic violence doesn't just affect the direct victim, it deeply impacts children and families. Their safety and emotional well-being must also be prioritized. 6. Persistence in pursuit of justice matters. Raven's mother fought for 3 years to obtain body camera footage and expose police negligence. Lesson: advocacy, even in the face of resistance, is powerful. Public pressure and persistence can lead to justice and institutional change. 7. Background checks and gun control save lives. Randall Watkins had a previous murder conviction but still possessed a firearm. Lesson: stronger enforcement of firearm restrictions, especially for convicted felons and domestic abusers, is essential to protect potential victims. 8. Victims need safe ways to leave. Raven attempted to leave the abusive relationship but was killed in the process. Lesson: survivors need accessible, secure resources to escape violence safely. Shelters, legal help, and protective services should be robust and well-funded. 9. Awareness can drive prevention. Sharing Raven's story can raise awareness and possibly save lives. Lesson: education about domestic violence, red flags, and available resources must be widespread. The more informed we are, the more we can help ourselves and others. Raven Gant's story is not just a tragedy. It's a call to action. Honoring her memory means learning from her story and working to ensure other lives are not lost in similar ways. May her soul rest in peace, and thank you for watching this video, and please subscribe for more stories.